Confessions of a Cabin Crew. In the last episode, we saw some of the problems faced by a cabin crew. If you haven't watched it yet, I'll put the link in the description below. In this episode, I'm going to show you some of the advantages and also the glamorous life of a cabin crew as promised. So fasten your seatbelt and brace yourself. We are going to take off to another journey and explore the confessions of a cabin crew. This was a very ordinary flight from Delhi to Mumbai, but it was the most memorable flight ever. I entered the cockpit to serve tea to the pilot in command, and he asked me if I've ever sat in a cockpit for landing. And I said no, never. And then he just turned back to me and he said, "Would you like to sit inside the cockpit for landing today?" I was absolutely thrilled and I said, "Of course, Captain. That would be great." I know you're wondering if it's even allowed, and that is the same question I asked Captain. And he simply replied, "Don't you know 141? And of course I know 141 of the aircraft rule. And as per this rule, the captain is the final authority in a flight, and also his word is the law in an aircraft. So that means if he tells me to sit inside the cockpit for landing, I must obey." And I was the happiest to obey this rule.
A few moments later.
So as we were about to start our descent for landing, the captain called me inside the cockpit. So I happily went inside and then I strapped myself in the observer seat for landing. It was a different world inside the cockpit. I could just feel as if we were just three of us, the captain, the first officer, and me, and as if we were, in a spaceship. I felt like we were on a mission in Star Wars. I know it's funny and it's like surreal, and the view is amazing. So I was trying to live every moment inside the cockpit, and then very soon we landed and the aircraft was, following through a line, and then we finally reached the parking bay. I was very lucky to have another cockpit experience, and this time the flight was from Mumbai to Dubai. It was a wonderful flight, an excellent set of crew, and a gentleman of a captain. So as a part of safety protocol, we're supposed to keep a check on the cockpit crew. So I called the cockpit and asked them if they needed anything. But instead, the captain told me to come inside the cockpit. So I went inside the cockpit and captain was like, "Can you see that?" So when I looked, lo and behold, it was the great Jung Jamir. I have heard about this Jung Jamir when I was still at home. Before I became a cabin crew, and my brother was telling me about how Dubai was trying to reclaim land from the sea and was creating an exotic palm-shaped artificial island, and it was still under construction that time. And I remember being so overwhelmed then, and that day in the flight, the Jung Jamir was right in front of my eyes. In fact, the captain tilted the plane so that I could get a better view of the Jung Jamir from his window. It was such a beautiful sight, and I can never forget how beautiful the view was. One thing that I've learned from both these cockpit experiences is that go that extra mile if you can, because it will make a big difference to somebody else. And also, both these cockpit experiences would have not been possible if I was not a cabin crew. So this was definitely a perk of being a cabin crew. Another huge perk of being a cabin crew is that you get to visit so many countries. Your company takes care of your accommodation and also gives you a meal allowance of over $100. If you have your friends, families, or relatives, you can visit them, and also you can explore the city, eat different food, and be a tourist for about 24 hours in a foreign land, all for free. This reminds me of my layover in Singapore. This is my first international layover after I joined my company. And it was so amazing. My cabin supervisor, she was so sweet. She came into my room and she told me like, let's all go for dinner together at 10 o'clock tonight. So I was so excited because we had decided to go for dinner at the Clarke Quay. Well, when I looked at the time, I had about a couple of hours, so I decided that since it's my first international layover, I'll go out, just take a look at the city, like just stroll and then come back before 10 so that we all could go and have dinner together. So I went out for a stroll and the city was like a garden. It was so beautiful. I just went further and further and further and then I got lost. And when I looked at the time, it was going to be 10 already, and I know for sure that I will not be able to make it back to the hotel. And I did not even have an international SIM card that time, since it was my first international layover. So I didn't even know how to contact or anything such as that. So now as I strolled, I had already reached Clarke Quay all by myself, okay? And then I couldn't even go there because it's such a spread out place. Even had they been there, I would have not been able to locate them. So, and I was also very exhausted, so I just decided to grab a meal at 7-Eleven. I mean from 7-Eleven, and then go back. So I was trying to go back, but still, like I just didn't know which direction to go. I had forgotten, and I was so exhausted. I had no more strength. So I saw this guy. It's a rickshaw, okay? So I mean, there's one wheel in the front and there are two wheels behind. So it's like a cycle, it's like a bicycle, but it has three wheels and then like two people can sit behind. So I hope you're understanding what I'm saying. So I approached him, I went up to him and I said, do you know this hotel? Like, can you please drop me here? And he was like more than happy to do it. And he charged me $10. So I sat there and then like it was so fun, he was singing, he was like honking, and then he was like just like he was riding his bicycle, but it wasn't normal, it was just full of energy. And people could see that that we were having so much fun. And then there were a group of international students, they were walking down, and then they could see me from afar, okay? And then they just came and like gave me a high five. And I also, although I was sitting behind that guy, I also went out and then I just gave them a high five, and it was so fun. Everyone was just having a good time. Finally, I reached my hotel, okay? And then there were so many expensive, luxurious car parked outside the hotel. And this guy, he had so much, like confidence. He just went in and then he just parked the car right at the entrance of the hotel, and he made a very grand entrance, And then I, stepped down and then like I paid him off, and then he happily went. And then, like I was full of smiles. Smiles? Plural? Yeah, what I meant was, I was smiling throughout that moment, and I proudly walked into the hotel. And that was my layover story. It was so fun. Finally, being a cabin crew gives you the privilege of getting a set number of highly subsidized flight tickets. This makes a huge budget difference to your holiday budget. A return ticket to Amsterdam costs just 7,000 rupees, and other closer destinations like Bangkok, Dubai, Colombo was just 3,000 rupees. So, being a cabin crew really takes you around the world. Not just for work, but also for holidays. I hope you did enjoy my video today. If you did, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the like button, and also hit the notification bell. I'll see you guys soon. Until then, take care.